Hey guys, welcome back to another Calibria video, and we have one team to go through all the level 10 catacombs. So the one good thing about this game is there are so many good heroes. There are so many good heroes that you don't have to wait to pull a certain hero. You can mix and match so many different ways to get through this content. It's really fantastic how this game has balanced all of these heroes. So just real quick, I have all level 40s except my druid. My druid is still level 35. I need to rank him up to 6-star and then level him up to 40. But I have two level 3s, or two nat 3s, sorry, two nat 3s, which are Holy Cleric and Windwalker. Those are both farmable. I have two nat 5s, which are Abyss Lord and Shaman. Those both can be replaced. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then Druid is a nat 4. So just let me go through these real quick. I'll show you the slides, and then we'll kind of talk about where I utilize each champion, how I utilize them. So here's Leviathan here. Not too bad. Magic Catacombs. And so Chaotic is one of the catacombs that I actually switch up one of the druid skills. So Chaotic is one, and I think let's see here. Lawful, I don't have to switch on Lawful. And then Evil is another one that I switch the druid, one of the druid skills to help out with the Evil Catacombs. But everything else, here's Dark Catacombs, same setup as 8 of the other catacombs. There's Light, same setup there. Okay, so I've already put out guides on 3 out of the 5 heroes that I utilize. I'll quickly kind of just go over some of the stuff that I use these heroes for and the catacombs. So this A1 here will dispel buffs. It's pretty important in Colossus that you remove the attack up buff on the Colossus. I think the level 5 or the magic has the immunity, and I think there's another one as well. But you want to remove those immunity buffs as well. So this helps out there. I do utilize this healing skill here and kind of remove a negative effect on an ally. And this is an AoE heal. And it does have an increased attack, but I'm not really utilizing that as much. So these are 3 skills that I'm always using on each of these catacombs for Holy Cleric. Okay, so for Windwalker, I'm utilizing this slow here just to speed up my team. And then this skill will increase energy for one ally as well as heal them a portion. This definitely helps speed up my team even faster. And then we have this haste spell and a 30% increased energy. These 3 skills, all in all, are just speeding up my team. So I can kind of get away with a little more than I usually should be able to get away with in these catacombs. Okay, so for the Shaman, we do have the A1 that puts up an attack down debuff. This is crucial for Colossus. For Colossus, he hits really hard, and we want to make sure that we get this debuff on him as much as possible. He does have this skill as well that puts up a decreased defense on the enemies. You could get around this skill. This debuff really isn't mandatory. The attack down, I think, is pretty mandatory for going through all of the catacombs. And then the curse, this just helps speed out the process with the damage. You can do without this skill and just kind of slowly work through the bosses. But this kind of just helps out the speed of all your runs. But from all these, the attack down is the important debuff that you want to make sure that you get at least on one of your heroes. Okay, so for Abyss Lord, he has 2 AoE attacks that put up burns. Those burns kind of provide extra damage over time, as well as he has a passive that does a counterattack. So if you can put him in a Desperation set, which is kind of like a stun set, and then a counterattack set, you can potentially counterattack a lot and lock down a lot of the waves and the mini boss as well. And then on the main boss, you can actually stun those 2 other enemies that put up a buff on Colossus himself and a decreased defense debuff on you. So you can potentially lock them down as well. Pretty strong hero here. You can get around this with other heroes that have AoE attacks. Put Desperation on them and a counterattack. They won't have this additional. Right now I have 20%. They won't have this additional, but they will counterattack some. And anytime you can lock down multiple enemies, that'll help you out even more. Okay, so for Druid, his A1 here dispels the buff just like Holy Cleric. So I have 2 heroes that actually do this, just because when I'm on auto, even though I have the auto selected for the boss, they don't always just target the boss. They do a lot, but then I don't think they always do. And so for like Colossus and Magic, where they have those buffs that are pretty annoying, you want to make sure that you dispel those as fast as possible. So I kind of like to utilize 2 heroes for that, just because of the auto. He does on his other skill here, it does provide increased defense for our allies. The counterattack portion of this, I actually don't benefit from this as much, just because my heroes are going so fast that I kind of lose that 1-turn counterattack. The increased defense is good. It has helped me out in certain scenarios, but I'm not really utilizing the skill. I'll be honest. I'm not really utilizing this as much as I could, just because of how fast my heroes go. So for the 3rd slot here, I do have another AoE healing capability as well as an HP regen. What's really important, especially on the Colossus, is some of his skills deal damage based on how much hit points you have left. So anytime you can keep your hit points up as high as possible and get some regen as well for all of the turns that you're taking, it's going to help out a lot. So for this guy, I got some healing capability and a removal buff. But you can definitely replace this guy as well if you don't have him. So this team is definitely doable to be able to get. There are certain heroes that you can definitely substitute out for certain ones. But, Holy Cleric and Windwalker, they're both farmable. They're both farmable champions. You can get them really easy and skill them up. Druid, I don't use him a ton. If you have another hero that you can utilize to help out with your healing, that'll work. Or if you have a hero that will remove some of the buffs, that works as well. I know I think it's the Magic, it's kind of annoying where that boss will have that 50% skill that he can heal himself over 50%, and you can kind of rotate back and forth. I actually don't have any heroes that have a HP regen lock. Usually I can get around that. Once in a while, like I said, my win rate is about 90 to 95%. Once in a while, that gets me there. And then on the Colossus, once in a while, when he does his beam skill, sometimes he has the attack up. I'll have the decreased defense debuff on myself. And sometimes that just doesn't work out right. But generally I can get around that because my team is really fast. I can stun lock a lot of the ads, right? And I have a lot of healing capability. As well, on top of that, getting that attack down is pretty essential, just to not have those wipes. If you have the attack down, it's really strong, and it'll just help out your team a lot more. So anyways, hopefully this helps you guys out. Like I said, some of these heroes you can replace. You don't have this. You don't have to have this exact setup. But look into Holy Cleric. Look into Windwalker. I put out some guides for, let's see here. I put out guides for Abyss Lord, Shaman, and Windwalker. So I guess 3 out of the 5 I put out guides for. Take a look at those. Hopefully those help you guys out. And I'll talk to you guys later.